All right, here we are in step 2. So I just want to mention what the, kind of go over the objective here a little bit more, give you some context. The beta portfolio is defined as the covariance of the return of the portfolio with the return of the market divided by the variance of the market, or the risk of the market, you might say. We're going to get this variance m squared by using the VIX. So whatever the VIX is, correctly, we're going to scale it to the monthly level, and then we're just going to drop it down here. So the VIX is a forecast coming from an option of the implied volatility of the market over the next 30-day period. The covariance we're going to get by using a EWMA model. And this is, again, covered in your chapter 20. All right. So the EWA model looks like this. The covariance at point T between the portfolio and the market is equal to lambda times the covariance of the prior period, T minus 1, plus 1 minus lambda U times, this is the return of the portfolio, and V is the return of the market of the previous period. So let's go ahead and get this set up. It's going to be very similar to the EWA process we used to forecast risk. So we'll just come back to our Excel spreadsheet. And the first thing we need is our estimate of what the covariance is going to be. And again, just to make this seem a little clearer, I'm going to go ahead and white out these colors here. So the first thing I need is my previous covariance, and we're going to use these 12-month period to establish what the covariance, the baseline covariance is. So that's going to equal covariance of the sample, and we're going to pick our portfolio and a comma, and now we're going to go ahead and pick the S&P 500, and we'll end that in return. So this is the base covariance that we're going to start with. I'm going to make things a little bit simpler here, I think, to follow by going ahead and freezing this pane so that you'll always be able to see the heading of the column. All right, so the next thing we need is our U T minus 1 and V T minus 1. This is the return of the portfolio times the return of the market. So I'm just going to come over here and say that this is equal to the return of the portfolio, and then I'm going to multiply that by the return of the market. Okay? So now our forecast. Let's get our lambda put in. I'm going to just start off with a lambda of 0.9. So now the forecast is going to be equal to lambda multiplied by my previous base estimate, and I'm going to add to that the quantity of 1 minus my lambda, and I'm going to multiply that by the U times V of the previous period. So this becomes my equation. I need to $sign the C1s, in other words the lambda cell, so that as I drag this thing up, I don't end up with any kinds of problems. We'll go ahead and move this one up one line as well. Now my error is then going to be equal to the ADS, absolute value of the actual covariance minus my forecast. All right, and at this point I can go ahead and drag these guys up. I'll do one away from the top. Again, you want to keep your spreadsheet nicely organized, so the fact that those extra lines came in, I want to go ahead and get rid of the border associated with that. And I'll just put my single line back here. All right, now The next thing that we're going to be interested in is doing the forecast. We're going to start by getting the forecast done for this last month of 2014. So this is going to be my forecast value. My sum error is going to be the SUM SQ, that's the sum square. And then I'm going to pick all the data that, I want to be down one. So it's G16, right? I'm trying to forecast December of 2014, so I can't use any data from 2014 in order to do it. And then we'll just go down here to the bottom. All right, so we've got our spreadsheet ready to go so that we can go ahead and record a macro. So what are we going to do in the macro recording? Just to talk it through real quick, we want to minimize the sum square errors by changing lambda. And then once we get the lambda over here, we want to copy it, and we just want to copy the number. So we're going to copy, and then we're going to paste special, and we just want the number to go right here. So we're going to go to the developer. We're going to go ahead and record a macro. I'm going to call it COVAR, and it estimates, let's say, forecasts future covariance. That we're going to use to estimate the beta. All right, so we're going to go over here to data, bring up the solver. And I do want to note that at any point you can reset everything to reset all the solver options. Now this is going to end up getting recorded in the macro. We'll just see what that looks like. So again, my objective cell is going to be the sum of square errors, and we want to minimize that. We're going to do it by changing lambda, and then we want to say that lambda has to be less than or equal to 1, and that lambda has to be greater than or equal to 0. And then we're going to go ahead and solve it. So now it's selected a value, and then I'm going to copy, Control C, click over here for my lambda forecast. That's the 2014 forecast, and then we want to paste just the number. And I want to paste just the number because I'm going to optimize this cell each time. So if I set it equal to this, as we move up, you'll see that it would overwrite everything. All the lambdas would end up being the same. All right, so at this point, we go back to the developer. We're going to go ahead and stop recording our macro. I'm going to come into the macro, and I'm going to go ahead and edit it. So this is the macro that was generated. A few extra items were put in there. So I don't need to do this solver OK, nonlinear. This is just asking it to do the same solving again. We'll get rid of that. And then, since I do not want to have the system come up and say, hey, is this solution optimal? I'm going to say user finish is equal to true. And that way it will automatically just adjust things over. All right, I'm going to go ahead and save my file. We're going to stop the video at this point. This is a macro that's giving us one solution, and now what we're going to do is come back and edit the macro so that it will go ahead and do all the solutions as we come up. Okay? Just as a note, we want to take this sum square and move it up to the top. All right, so thank you very much, and when we come back, we'll edit the macro. What I'm trying to do here is show you different ways to use the solver to create different styles of output. The more options that you know about, the more functional you're going to be. All right, thank you very much. Goodbye.